Hi, this is Rob Polenic of Brutal Iron Gym. Today's workout was a pull day, so I did back and biceps. I did include my rear delts, but I didn't do them as directly for the volume than I typically would. So my first grouping of exercises was a circuit. I did my main three movements and I just wanted to do all the warm-ups together as a circuit just to get faster through them. So I did dumbbell Grimes raises, which is a weird variation of a lateral raise in a standing row, upright row. So you let your shoulders round forward and then you pull the dumbbells up and back in like a diagonal angle. So I'm pulling up and back like this. And what I like about that is it targets the middle and the lower traps, the rhomboids, kind of that dead spot in the middle of your back. That's going to include a little bit of rear delts as well. So I did 3 rounds of that were like good intensity, good technique, near failure, not true failure, but definitely enough to burn and aggravate the muscles. And then I did standing T-bar row with a wide overhand grip. And given the angle I'm at, which is a pretty uprighted angle and pulling high and wide, I know that's going to get my rear delts as well. And then I did cable seated rows with an angled overhand mag grip, maximum advantage grip. What I like about those is it's kind of like a paddle handle. It's a flat handle and you can just hook it with your fingers, so it really helps you isolate your back. I did 3 rounds of those that burned but weren't to technical failure. So I actually did 2 rounds first that were submaximal, not really much of a burn. Those would be like warm-ups. And then I did 3 burning rounds. But none of those were maxed out because, again, I was just kind of getting into the big movements. Then I decided to separate those 3. I changed the Grimes raises to basic lateral raises. I've been wanting to grow my shoulder width, so I'm focusing on lateral raises more often during the week. Maybe not a ton of volume each time I do it, but if I'm doing them 4 times a week, it's going to add up to more volume than I usually do. So hopefully that'll get them to grow. That's actually a really fun technique you can use for any body part that might be falling behind a little bit, is just add a few working sets of that muscle group ahead of other workouts in the week. So another example might be calves. So you would do your calves on your leg days, but maybe, before chest you do a couple sets of calf raises, before back a couple sets of calf raises. You just throw in a little bit extra work throughout the week and that added volume adds up. So I did dumbbell lateral raises. I think I did 4 sets there. I then went on to do the heavy T-bar rows and I did 4 sets. And again with that, I have a more uprighted angle because I'm really wanting to work on the muscles across the upper back. I want to build out my mid traps and rhomboids. So if I lean too far over, I'm going to get too much lats. If I stay upright, it's just a weird angle and probably unhealthy on my shoulder. So it's trying to be as upright as I can be that targets across shoulder to shoulder, basically all the muscles across the upper back. Then I did cable seated rows. I got a pin, magnetic pin that allows me to add weight to the weight stack I have. So I have a Sorinex Apex rack. I had wanted to order 400-pound weight stacks, but it got messed up in the order and it didn't happen. So I have one 300-pound stack and one 250-pound stack. Annoying, and maybe someday I'll change it, but I don't want to put that expense in when I could buy other equipment. So I got this pin, this magnetic pin that allows me to add plate weight from the company Bare Steel, and that thing is freaking awesome. I got their super version of it, which has a high magnet tension, I don't know, like magnetized tension. It's like 40 pounds of tension. I added eventually a 45-pound plate today that helped me get sets of 10 to 14. I was pretty strict with my movement. I didn't really let my upper body move at all. And you'll notice in the videos I never fully extend my arms. I keep my arms slightly bent. I'm really focusing on my shoulder blades, letting my shoulders relax and stretch open, and then trying to drive and squeeze my shoulder blades together before I pull with my arms. So I have very limited arm movement in my elbow angle, but hopefully, and what feels like a lot of good movement through my mid-back. That Bare Steel pin allowed me to use heavier weight, which I definitely liked the feel of. I had previously been using bands, and I didn't really like that because At the full stretch, the bands kind of release. Then as you're driving in, and it's the hardest position, is that full contraction is kind of the weakest position. And that's when the bands are most tensioned. So they were the inverse of what I wanted. So although banding things is an option in many cases, it wasn't what I wanted for to build a bigger back with back rows. So getting the bare steel pin was awesome and it worked great. So I'm excited now that it did work to try to load it up even more next time I do that. I then moved on to biceps. I did some spider curls with our roll pad. I really like that variation. I don't do it too often, but I did it the other day last week when I went to a gym up in Charlotte. They had a nice standing Atlantis like preacher curl bench that had the angled side and a flat side, and I was like, oh hell, let me do that, you know, haven't done it in forever. So I did it and it felt really good. My biceps were actually pretty sore. So I was like, I'm gonna do that again this week. So I did a variation of it here at home with the roll pad. And then I just did basic standing dumbbell curls. And what I like about a dumbbell curl variation compared to a barbell curl is it allows you to better ensure that you're developing each side equally. Way back when, at this point now, it's been almost 20 years, I had a partial tear in the connective tissue on my bicep. I was doing really heavy seated rows and, you know, ping, tore a little bit. I never got surgery on it because at the time I couldn't afford it. So I just kind of worked through it. And although it's gotten stronger, I definitely still have a little bit of an imbalance when I get to full fatigue. So I like doing the dumbbells as a way to force each side to work equally. I feel when I do a barbell, it's still a very good stimulus, but there is that little less of a unilateral responsibility, so that difference hides a bit more when I'm doing a barbell. So although I do like doing it from time to time for variation, I also like doing the dumbbells to ensure that I'm balancing out each arm. So that was the workout. I actually really enjoyed this. I wish I could keep going, but I ran out of time. So it was a good day, a lot of good work. If you give this workout a try, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions or comments, you can always put them in the comment section below. That's it. Okay. Thank you for watching.